You've got the fourth department, the General Staff Department, for electronic countermeasures, which is offense. You've got the third GSD for SIGINT, which is the defense. Everything, again, there's a great report by Northrop Grumman. Wow. You should read this. It's kind of like light, night reading material. Very interesting and very eye-opening. And can, again, actually be backed up and researched. And yes, Titan Rain happened, and the history. I'm not going to stay on this slide too much. Iran, not a lot of information, but since we're talking about some kind of a very specific form of governments, it becomes very simple. There's one telecommunication infrastructure company, which is called the Telecommunication Infrastructure Company. It's a government telecom monopoly, so the government controls it, and basically they report to the Iranian armed forces on everything that they want to connect. This has been their connectivity rate over the past few years. You can see the spike in, this is fiber optics running into and out of Iran, which is internet. So the armed forces control everything, great firewalling, great control over content, and you know how much Iranians love Twitter, okay? And again, we'll talk about this in a few seconds. Israel, last and not least. I'm not going to be able to tell you a lot about this. This is mostly Googleable stuff. I love Googleable. Most of the cyber stuff is done under the IDF, which is adding a lot of cyber attack capabilities. Again, Google it, find all the articles, a lot of interesting information. In the IDF, we have C4Is, which is Command Control Communications Computers, and intelligence. It's like, I want it all. In every corps. So we have like intelligence C4I, Navy C4I, Air Force C4I, and the foot soldiers C4I. Staffing is mostly homegrown because, I don't know if you know, but every citizen in Israel have to serve the army since the second they turn 18. So a lot of training going on inside the military. Obviously there's like picking and choosing before people join in, so you're not going to find a lot of, googly-eyed geeks running in the desert. They're probably going to get picked up to do C4I stuff. And yes, Mossad, again, it's not a big secret, I guess, anymore. They have a website. They actually have a website in English as well. Look for the job section, not in English, but in Hebrew. You can figure it out just by rolling your mouse over the menu, and use Google Translate. A lot of interesting information will pop up when you look at what they're looking for in terms of recruiting people. Okay? Smart, and it's on the internet. I'm not like revealing country secrets. All right. Quick overview of attack. CyberWar, in my mind, is not what the Wikipedia definition is. CyberWar, for me, is part of a global kind of strategic move. So my definition is highly selective targeting of military and critical resources in conjunction with a kinetic attack. Okay? You're not going to blow up the country just by pinging it or finding an OD on something. There's always going to be something kinetic involved, be it planes bombing stuff, or ground troops moving in, or spooks popping up in strange places. Again, it's a strategic move. It's synchronized with someone on the ground, or just a massive DDoS. Just blank out an area, deny service to telecommunication, to other government services, civil services. For political propaganda, for crowd control, for changing, the public opinion, or preventing the public from reaching, from getting more information. Okay, so this is kind of my definition of cyberwar, and mostly cyberwar attack. On the defense side, yeah, what? Yeah, I said I'm going to focus on 5 different countries. I mean, I left out France and added Iran. I don't have a lot of data on France, and I have much more on Iran. Okay, sorry if I hurt anyone. It's just not. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We can remind me that when we talk about like the talking about the future slide. Okay. I almost agree with you. Most cases you will need some kind of physical interaction as well. Most nuclear reactors don't have an IP, a public IP address. All right. So, yeah. Kinetic and cyber? Well, I'll talk about it. When we talk about cyber capabilities and cyber actions, cyber action team, they can last again for a long time as in preparation for a kinetic event. Some people categorize this under like cyber espionage or whatever it is, but again, it is usually a part of a bigger plan. What I'm trying to say, it doesn't stand by itself. Okay? Can we move on to defense? Yeah, we're good? All right. Defense. Defense is kind of easy because we're talking about massive things. So, as we said, targets are never just military. There's always going to be civilian, so it's really hard to defend them, which makes availability and integrity of the services like a big part of it, which makes just shutting down services or shutting down access to critical services part of a defensive maneuver. Right? If my server is smoking and about to melt, and I don't want to shut it down because I'm going to lose data or integrity or something like that, I might as well start shutting down access to the server to lower the load. Okay? So that's a valid defensive move from a nation point of view. And we'll see that sometimes in past events. Cybercrime. Let's run a little faster. If you don't see this and you're talking about cybercrime, you're doing it very, very wrong. Okay? You're just dealing with stupid mess of some sort. Script kiddies, I don't know, people fucking around. Track the money. If you don't see the money, you're not looking at cybercrime. Cybercrime is highly organized. It works just like a business. Just like a business, it's got a hierarchy, it's got distribution channels, marketing, sales, technical guys running the technical things, someone cashing in, someone moving the money, a CEO that is everyone reports to, deputies, the whole shebang. If you want to know more about it, you can read like a lot of material that's been published about it. You can even look at my presentation from last year, but there's like better stuff out there. When you're talking about the attack, and this is going to be very quickly because you're familiar with it, it's the usual stuff. Okay, web, email, open services. Targeted attacks are usually going to be carried with like custom Trojans. I'm not going to talk about the infection vector, the attack vector. It's pretty much run-of-the-mill. Bots, botnets, rootkits. You know the drill. If you have any questions, by the way, just shoot. This is how it looks like in terms of a cyber crime attack. This is a mapping of the effect that a single cybercrime server had in terms of infecting legitimate websites. Okay, we got hold of the data that was on a criminally operated server. We mapped out all the infection vectors, right? All the sites that were broken into, legitimate sites that were broken into, and gave, bots back to that command control. And this is how it looked like. Since we're looking for money, most of the focus was on areas where there's money. Western Europe, East, West Coast, all the hillbillies are kind of left out. Some in China, some in Japan, but again, the focus is pretty obvious. In terms of the guys running those things, we mapped out, we were able to track down about 5 or 6 major groups that were running those promotions and running those cybercrime operations, and surprisingly enough, they fit into the geographies where the attacks were happening. So we're seeing very, very high specialization in terms of language, geography, to adapt the marketing and the way to infect people. And you're going to hear a lot of social engineering and social talks, and you'll see why. This is the ammunition. Okay, This is just one example, my favorite, my personal favorite. I did a lot of research on this little fucker. This is Zeus. This is the client side where you build the Trojans. Every time you click here, and this is not rocket science, all right? You just configure it, tell it what to do, click build, bam, you've got an executable. Click build again, bam, there's another one. Completely different than the first one, with different detection rates. These things usually measure about anywhere between 20 to 45% detection across 41 different AVs, which, again, my personal opinion is AVs just don't work. This was and can be used as in what you see on the screen. I'm not going to say this because it's stupid. This is the other side. You get this in two parts. All right. So this is the command control center, wizard-driven installation. Just put it on a web server. It's going to configure the database, and bam, you've got bots connecting to it. And you can drill down and do reports and send them commands and group them and do like fancy shit with it. It's going to pull out all the information that you configured the attack tool to do, the Trojan, look for credentials, for documents, whatever it is. Very easy to use. So it's not rocket science. You don't have to be a uber hacker to run this. A friend of mine had an experiment back in Israel, and he's like, let's try to do a proof of concept. He's running a class on like ethical hacking, and for in like whatever bizarre reason, after 2 days he had about 5,000 infections, like 5,000 bots under his command, and everything is like registered to his credit card number, the website, the whole thing is like, oh shit, just shut everything down. This is very effective. Okay. Defense, again, one of my favorite parts because it's very easy. We have anti-virus, malware, spyware, rootkit, Trojan. Or do we? It's not really working. Okay. Again, go to VirusTotal, look at detection rates for the latest threats. Unless they're like at least a month and a half old, it's just ridiculous. Okay. But then you say, Ian, we've got firewalls, IDSs, IPSs, stuff that catches stuff on the network. But seriously? Port 80, 443, 53 rings a bell. We saw, DNS exfiltration techniques before in the talk before. We talked about 443 SSL. Everything's encrypted. You can't see shit. You can't really stop these things with our current defense mechanism. Oh, there's my little buddy. I was afraid I forgot it. So the defenses of cybercrime are kind of obvious and poor. Finally, getting back to my claim to fame. Cybercrime is being used to conduct cyberwar. And no one's shot a missile at me yet. Oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. Let's see how that works. Okay. In order to see that, I had to go back into like ancient history, 2007, I think this is, Estonia. I just had to put this because everyone said this is like the first CyberWarfare event. Because of that, it's very well documented. I'm not really going to focus too much about it because it didn't really have a kinetic effect to it, besides Lenin's like the lone soldier thing falling or moving. Yeah, but that's mostly by civilian kind of outrage and stuff like that. The bottom line from the cyber aspect is that civilian infrastructure is targeted, and attacks were originated mostly from civilian networks. Okay, the attacks that brought down most of the internet infrastructure in Estonia did not come from Kremlin.gov.ru. Okay, it came from all sorts of civilian networks. Read about it. If you need links, just send me an email. Israel. All right. Who knows what this is? Okay, excellent. I have a buddy here. This is a nuclear reactor in Syria. This was part of Operation Orchard. Go to Wikipedia, read about it. It's very interesting because allegedly, okay, this nuclear reactor turned into